Good evening. This is All India Radio Kohima. I'm Jonas Yantan with Evening News. The headlines. Prime Minister Modi says bold investments and decisions are needed to build a globally competitive, strong domestic supply chain in the country. Over 150,000 tests being conducted in a day. Recovery rate improves to 49.21% in the country. In Nagaland, 2 more test COVID-19 positive, taking the tally to 130. 29 recovers, bringing down active cases to 101. And Nagaland government issues guidelines for opening of religious places and places of worship outside containment zone. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said the country has moved from the policy of command and control to plug and play in order to prepare it for the post-COVID world. Addressing the industry heads at the 95th annual plenary session of the Indian Chamber of Commerce in Kolkata through video conference today, Modi said it is the time for bold investments and bold decisions to build a globally competitive, strong domestic supply chain in the country. He said banking services in the country have reached those who were kept in the category of have-nots for a long time. Modi also hailed the decision of development of cluster-based markets, which he said will open doors of opportunities for increased local produce. He said the development of inland waterways, banning of single-use plastic, boosting the use of digital payment and renewable energy sources have helped drive the economy, benefiting both people and the planet along with equitable gains. The central government today said that the recovery rate reached 49.21% in the country and the total number of recovered people from coronavirus reached 141,029. During the last 24 hours, 5,823 people have been cured from the virus. Health and Family Welfare Ministry said 9,996 new cases of COVID-19 have been reported in the last 24 hours, taking the total number of cases to 286,579 in the country. During the last 24 hours, 357 deaths have been registered, taking the nationwide toll to 8,102. The case fatality rate stood at 2.82% in the country, and the total active corona cases in the country is 137,448. Nagaland recorded 2 more positive cases of COVID-19, taking the total confirmed cases to 130. Nagaland Health and Family Welfare Minister S. Pangyapom in a tweet this morning said 298 samples were tested, out of which 2 samples from Kohima Quarantine Center turned to be positive. State Nodal Officer for Integrated Disease Surveillance Program Nagaland, Dr. Nyan Gikon said a total of 29 persons have recovered from the virus, bringing down the number of active cases to 101. He said that out of the 29 recovered, 11 patients from Dimapur District Hospital were declared to have recovered after their second test were found negative in TrueNat testing machine. In an effort to guard against fake news being circulated on various platforms, All India Radio brings you our segment on fact-finding and checking and myth-busters. The government has termed as false and misleading a message circulating on social media claiming that the National Scholarship Portal is offering a scholarship of 10,000 rupees for college students. In a tweet, the Press Information Bureau said the message is fake. It urged people to be aware of such fraudulent websites. This news comes to you from All India Radio, Kohima. Nagaland government has allowed religious places and places of worship outside containment zones to open for public with immediate effect and subject to adherence to conditions. Nagaland Chief Secretary issued an order listing the conditions and provisions for opening of religious places and places of worship. It said that religious places and places of worship in containment zones shall remain closed. Persons above 65 years of age, persons with comorbidities, pregnant women, and children below the age of 10 years are advised to stay at home. Organizations managing the religious institutions are to advise workers and visitors on preventive and simple public health measures to be followed to reduce the risk of COVID-19. Individuals must maintain distance of 6 feet in public places as far as feasible. Face masks should be used mandatorily. Frequent hand washing or use of alcohol-based hand sanitizer should be made whenever feasible. Respiratory etiquette should be strictly followed, which involves covering one's mouth and nose while coughing or sneezing with a tissue or handkerchief or flexed elbow and disposing of used tissues. Spitting should be strictly prohibited. It also advised all to install and use Arogya Setu app. Further, the order said that a number of persons to be allowed in any religious place or place of worship should not exceed 30% of the capacity of that building. Religious places should be kept open for worship between 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. only. All religious places are to mandatorily have provisions for hand hygiene and thermal screening. People should wash their hands and feet with soap and water before entering the premises. Staggering of visitors should be done if possible. Proper crowd management in the parking lots and outside the premises with social distancing should be followed. As far as feasible, recorded devotional music or songs should be played, and choir or singing group should not be allowed. The Eastern Nagaland People's Organization, ENPO, officials led by Vice President Setsa Cho held a consultative meeting with officials of United Sangdam Likam Pumji, ULSP, at Kifere town yesterday. The meeting deliberated on the demands placed by ENPO on 28th of last month concerning the mishandling and mismanagement of Twensang returnees, which occurred on 25th May. During the interaction, Setsatso told the USLP officials that the demand placed by ENPO will not be compromised in any manner because what happened in Twensang is a serious crime that needs to be fixed by taking punitive action against the erring officials. He also informed that during the cabinet meeting held on 6th of this month, where ENPO officials were invited, the leaders have made the stand clear that if the report of judicial inquiry committee set up by the state government is not satisfactory, they would not accept it. Assuring unflinching support and cooperation towards ENPO, General Secretary of USLP, P. Achumse Sangdam, said it will not waver till justice is delivered. USLP said that it will stand resolutely with ENPO for further course of action in the event of government's failure to act positively. Meanwhile, visiting ENPO team also called upon Kifre Deputy Commissioner Sarita Yadav and extended its appreciation towards the district administration, police, medical, district task force and all frontline workers for their selfless service in effectively managing quarantine centers in the district despite limited resource. An in-weather report, the Nagaland State Disaster Management Authority, NSTMA, in coordination with Regional Meteorological Center, Guwahati, has issued weather updates for the coming days for the state. It said the state capital Kohima and most other parts of Nagaland are covered with a monsoon current. During this period, thunderstorm and lightning with heavy rains is expected in the districts of Kohima, Dimapur, Peren, Pek, Mokokchung, Twensang, Mon and Longleng, it said, adding that moderate showers will continue in the remaining parts of the state, which is likely to become intense. Stating that there will be a strong monsoon activity in between 12th to 17th of this month, NSTMA in this connection has urged the public to be vigilant and not to shelter under large trees and near the river banks, and to take necessary precautionary measures to prevent unnecessary risk to life from lightning and flash flood. And now to enter news, here are the main points again. Prime Minister Modi says bold investments and decisions are needed to build a globally competitive, strong domestic supply chain in the country. Over 150,000 tests being conducted in a day. Recovery rate improves to 49.21% in the country. In Nagaland, 2 more test COVID-19 positive, taking the tally to 130. 29 recovers, bringing down active cases to 101. And Nagaland government issues guidelines for opening of religious places and places of worship outside containment zone. That is all we have in this evening news bulletin. Good night.